I was going to say, so I think it's important with this question to actually figure out why these multifamily operators are actually in distress. And what ended up happening, from what I gather, is that the people who were getting floating rate debt, which is the majority, usually it's the people who are in fixed debt and are good operators, they are not the ones that are stopping distributions or doing capital calls or anything like that. It's the operators out there who got floating rate debt and then assumed that their floating rate cap would stay on for the life of their deal. And what they didn't realize is what I think they overlooked, and in hindsight, obviously it's easy to say, is that insurance gets tapped out and then you got to renew that insurance. So now what ends up happening is they purchased that insurance for $20,000 last year. They're going today, because the cap is all used up, to buy additional insurance. And that insurance is 10x, 20x. So what ends up happening is if they have the reserves, they can pay it easily. However, but then they're probably going to stop distributions just to retap those reserves. But if they don't, now you're seeing capital calls. And it's interesting because let's say January 2023, like capital call was a sin, right? If you do that as a capital raiser, as an operator, you're losing a lot of your investor base. It's so ironic that now we're in a situation where so many people are going to go through a capital call or a stop distributions or just many other bad things, where in 6 months, 9 months, it's no longer going to be a cardinal sin. It's almost going to be like, if you're an investor in 10 to 20 deals, you've probably had a capital call or you've had multiple distributions paused. So I think it's an interesting market. I think this is the time where investors really need to focus on the relationships. Operators really need to focus on operating. And yes, it is an opportune time. We are constantly talking, we're constantly following deals that are in distress. But we also want to be careful. There's also, besides a financial reason, there's also an operational reason why some of these deals are in distress. Because if you have a really experienced operator, they might have paused distributions, but they're not in capital call foreclosure distress. However, if they are financially misplayed the interest rates and they operationally are in trouble, that is not necessarily a deal that you just want to go in there and say, oh, there's blood on the street, I'm going to buy this deal and become a millionaire overnight. So it is something that we are watching, but we are very cautious. We are leveraging our network to find the full story of why that asset is in such distress. A lot of times, even though it's in distress, it's being priced appropriately. For example, they want $5 million for an asset. If you put $1.5 million for it, it's going to be worth 6.5, 7. So to me, that's not really distress, because you're going to be doing a lot of work to make a nominal amount of equity. So I think all those things are important. At SIH Capital Group, we do have an income fund. We are just shifting to more assets that are actually collateralized. That's basically our philosophy during this process. We had the income fund before all of this. So it's not like we're like, oh, this is a great time, I'm just going to launch to take advantage of this. But we are shifting the philosophy in that fund a little bit as the times kind of change.